Hello everyone, good evening. I'm so sorry to keep you guys waiting, but because of the rain and because of the traffic, we're waiting for a couple of people. But we're very, very glad to have you, and it's nice to see such an almost full house. So the Health A-Level department, led by these people in the front, who are starting the cheer, thank you. Every year we put on a show, and every year we put on a play. So this year is no different. And this is a tradition that the Health English Literature department has kept going for 10 years. So this is actually the 10th year that we put on a show. And we actually have some people who were involved in the very first production. Say hello. And we have a bunch of students as well who were involved in previous year's productions. Say hello. Come on. Yeah, right. And I think that's something really special, that our old students come back and just come to experience, because what happens here on this stage every year is very stressful, but also something very beautiful. And it's a tradition that we have really, really enjoyed, and I personally have enjoyed. So this year's play is no different. We are putting on Tom Stopper's Arcadia. I hope that you were reading the wonderful slide presentation that we prepared for you, because it is a little bit of a complicated play, but it's also very beautiful, and I hope that you enjoy it. Arcadia it's basically set in two time periods. So it's set in 1810, sort of Regency era, and it's also set in present day. So there are two parallel timelines. And basically the present day is trying to figure out what happened in 1810. And that's the mystery for you guys as well. So Arcadia is a play about art and literature and science and math and sex. Okay. Just saying, just warning you, okay, there's some mature content and a little bit of strong language, but very tastefully presented, I believe.
Not HBO, huh?
Not HBO, not Game of Thrones, no. Much more tasteful than that. Okay, so a very engaging play. And I think that part of the reason we chose this play is because it's all about the intersection of science and art and literature. And with our A-level students, I believe, the cream of the crop. At help. Okay. All of our students, I think there's a tendency to be like, oh, I'm just a science student, or I'm just an art student. But I think that you don't have to be either. You can be both. Alright? So I have a lot of students who take literature and chemistry and math and that sort of thing. And I think it's something beautiful. So, we're trying to dispel all those myths that these things are mutually exclusive. They're all one and the same. And at the end of the day, it is the wanting to know that makes us matter. Okay? You're inside the bag. But again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you to Mr. Jan and Ms. Manseong and everybody at A-Levels for being so supportive this entire time. And it's very nice to have you here. Thank you to all the parents who've given up your children for the last couple of months. Giving them, to my, I don't know, okay? But thank you for coming. Also, if you gave donations for the program booklets, we're actually collecting money to help the Cheshire Home of Selangor. So there are some representatives here as well. So with their economic empowerment program. So that's what we like to do, give back to the community. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoy the show. Oh, please, turn off your headphones, please. Please turn off your headphones. Thank you very much.
What is carnal embrace?
Carnal embrace? Carnal embrace is the practice of throwing one's arm around the side of a beef.
Is that all?
No. Shoulder of a mutton, a haunch of venison, well hugged, an embrace of grouse, caro, carnis, feminine, flesh.
Is it a sin?
Oh, not necessarily, my lady. It is sinful when it is a sin of the flesh. You see, we have caro in our Gallic wars. The Britons live on meat and milk. Lacte et carne vivunt. I'm sorry, the sea fell on stony ground.
That was the sin of Onan, wasn't it, Septimus?
Oh, yes. He was teaching his brother's wife a Latin lesson, and she was hardly the wiser after it than before. I thought you were finding a proof for Fermat's theorem.
Oh, it is very difficult. You'll have to show me how.
If I knew how, there'd be no need to ask you. Fermat's Lost Theorem has kept people busy for 150 years. And I hope you'll keep you busy long enough for me to finish Mr. Chater's Couch of Eros in praise of love with the distractions of its own absurdities.
Our Mr. Chater has written a poem.
He believes he has written a poem, yes. But I can see that there's more carnality in your algebra than his Couch of Eros.
Oh, it was not my algebra. I overheard Jalebi telling the cook that Mrs. Chater was discovered in the gazebo in carnal embrace.
With whom did he have to say?
What do you mean with who?
I mean, with what? That is absurd. Where did this come from?
Mr. Noakes,
Mr. Noakes.
Papa's landscape gardener. He was taking bearings in the garden when he saw through his spyglass Mrs. Chater in the gazebo in carnal embrace.
And do you mean to tell me that Mr. Noakes told this to the butler?
No. Mr. Noakes told Mrs. Chater. Jalebi was told by the cook, who overheard Mr. Noakes telling Mr. Chater in the stable yard.
Mr. Chater being engaged in closing the stable door.
What do you mean?
And thus far the only people that knows about this is Mr. Noakes, the landscape gardener, the cook, the groom, the butler, and of course Mrs. Chater's husband, the poet.
And Arthur, who was cleaning the silver, and the boy, and now you.
Thank you very much. What else did he say?
Mr. Noakes?
Not Mr. Noakes, you heard Jalebi. Jalebi.
Jalebi was hushed almost as soon as he started. He did not see that I was there being allowed to finish yesterday's upstairs rabbit pie before I came into my lesson. But I think you've not been candid with me, Septimus. A gazebo is after all not a meat larder.
Well, I did not say my definition was complete.
Is carnal embrace kissing?
Yes.
And throwing one's arms around Mrs. Chater?
Yes, now for
I
myself.
thought as much. I hope you're ashamed.
I, my lady.
If you do not teach me the true meaning of things, then who will?
Yes, I am ashamed. Carnal embrace is sexual congress, which is the insertion of the male genital organ into the female genital organ with the purpose of procreation and pleasure. Now, for myself, by contrast.
That is disgusting and incomprehensible. Now when I'm going to do it for myself, I shall never do so without thinking of you.
Thank you very much, my lady. Is Mrs. Chater down this morning?
No, tell me more about carnal embrace.
There's nothing more to talk about. Carnal embrace.
Is it the same as love?
Oh no, it is much nicer than that.
Mr. Chater asked me to bring him your answer.
My answer? Well, my answer is as is my duty and my custom to his daughter's education. And I'm engaged until 11:45. When I'm done, if he's still there, I'll be happy to wait upon him in the gun room.
I will tell him so. Thank you, sir.
What's for dinner, Jalebi?
Boiled ham and cabbages, my lady, and a rice pudding.
Oh, goody.
Well, so much of Mr. Noakes bring himself forward as a gentleman, a philosopher of the picturesque, a visionary who can move mountains and cause lakes. But in the scheme of the garden, he is as the serpent.
When you stir your rice pudding, Septimus, the spoonful of jam spreads itself round, making red trails like the picture of a meteor in my astronomical atlas. But if you stir backwards, the jam will not come together again. Indeed, the pudding does not notice and continues to turn pink just as before. Do you think this is odd?
Well, no.
Well, I do. You cannot stir things apart.
Well, no more you can make time run backwards, since it will not. You must stir onwards as we go. Disorder out of disorder into disorder until the pink is complete. Changeable and unchangeable. And we are done with it forever. This is what we call self-determination and free will.
Septimus, do you think God is a Newtonian?
An Etonian, almost certainly, I'm afraid. You must ask your brother to make this his first inquiry.
Not an Etonian, a Newtonian.
Oh.
Do you think I'm the first to have thought of this?
No.
I have not said yet.
You see, if the furthest planet to the smallest atom in our brain goes according to Newton's law of motion, what becomes of free will?
No.
God's will?
No.
Sin?
No.
Very well then.
If you can stop every atom in its position, and then comprehend all the actions thus suspended, and then if you were really, really good at algebra, You can write a formula for all the future. And although nobody can be so clever as to do it, the formula must exist, just as if one could.
Yes. Yes. You are the first to have thought of this, I'm afraid. You see, in the last margin of his copy, Arithmetica, Fermat wrote that he has discovered a wonderful proof for his theorem, but the margin being too narrow did not have room to write it down. And until
Oh, I see now. The answer is perfectly obvious.
well, this time you may have overreached yourself.
Mr. Hodge.
Ah, Mr. Chater. Perhaps my message was miscarried. I'll be at liberty at 11:45 if that is convenient.
Convenient. It is not convenient, sir. My business will not wait.
Perhaps you have Lord Crimp's opinion that your business is more important than his daughter's lesson.
Well, I do not. But if you like, I will ask his lordship to settle the point.
Take Fermat to the music room. There'll be an extra spoonful of jam if you find his proof.
There is no proof, Septimus. The only thing that is perfectly obvious is that the note in the margin was a joke to make all of you mad.
Now, what is this business that cannot wait?
I think you know it, sir. You have insulted my wife.
Insulted her. Don't deny my nature, my conduct, and the admiration in which I hold for Mrs. Chater.
Oh, I've heard of your admiration. You insulted my wife in the gazebo yesterday evening.
Well, you are mistaken, sir. I made love to your wife in the gazebo. Well, I haven't got something that I dare say I can find for you. But if anyone is putting out that I did not turn up, by God,
You damn
it's a
lecher! You
slander.
would drag down a lady's reputation to make refuge for her own
Chater.
cowardice. No, it
Chater.
will not do. I am calling you
Chater,
out.
my dear friend.
Friend, you dare call me your friend. I demand satisfaction.
Demand satisfaction. Mrs. Chater demands
Well.
satisfaction, and you are demanding satisfaction. I cannot spend my time day and night satisfying the demands of the Chater family. As for your wife's reputation, it stands where it was
You
stood.
blackguard,
I
you
would assure you, Mrs. Chater is charming and spirited, with a dainty step and a pleasing voice. She is the epitome of all the qualities society applauds in her sex, and yet her chief renown is for readiness that keeps her in a state of humidity that would grow orchids in her drawers in January.
Damn you, Hodge! I will not listen to this. Will you fight me or not?
Not! There are no more than 2 or 3 poets first rank now living, and I will not shoot one of them dead of a perpendicular poke in a gazebo with a woman whose reputation could not be adequately defended by a platoon of musketry.
Wait. You say so, do you?
I do.
Who are the others in your opinion? No, Jim. I will not be flattered out of my course. But then again, you do say so. Do you?
I do. I would say the same to Milton, were you not already dead.
But you know, among the living, Mr. Southey.
Mr. Southey! I'm gonna shot on sight.
Yes, I admire Thalbert quite, but Maddock. But we are straying from the business here. You took advantage of Mrs. Chater, and if that were not bad enough, every stable boy and scullery maid on
Oh,
the strand.
damn me! Have you not heard of what I said?
I have heard you, sir, and I will not deny. I welcome your regard.
My
I mean,
dear
God knows
friends,
what-
they judge a poet by the sitting plan on Lord Holland's table.
By heaven, you're right. And I would very much like to know the scoundrel who slandered my verse in the Maid of Turkey, in the Piccadilly Recreation.
The Maid of Turkey, I have it by my bedside. When I cannot sleep, I'll take up the Maid of Turkey like an old friend.
There you are, and that scoundrel wrote that he would not give it to his dog were it covered with bread sauce or stuffed with chestnuts. When Mrs. Chater read that, she wept and would not give herself to me for a fortnight. Which now recalls me to my purpose.
The new poem, however, will make your name.
Whether it do or not,
is not a question. No coterie will oppose the acclamation of the reading public. The gods of Eros will take the town.
oh, is that your estimation?
It is my intent.
Is it? Well, I do not understand you.
You see, I have a copy sent to me for review. I say review, but I speak with an extensive appreciation of your gifts and your rightful place in the English literature.
You have written this,
Not yet.
and how long does?
To be done right, it first requires a careful rereading of your book, of both your books, several readings with outline
English
works of
literature.
exhibition of disdain or deference as the case or merits. You see, I make notes, of course.
Yes,
I
yes.
order my thoughts. When all is ready, I am calm in my mind.
Mr. Hodge, I have a question. Come here. Did Mrs. Chater know of this before you?
I think she very likely did.
There's nothing that woman would not do for me, you see. Now you have an insight to her character, and by God, she's a wife indeed.
For that alone, I will not make her a widow.
Captain Bryce once made the same observation.
Oh, Bryce did.
Yes, Mr. Hodge, allow me to inscribe your copy in happy anticipation. Lady Thomasina Spendle service.
Sir,
Yes.
your connection with Lord and Lady Croom you owe in fighting her ladyship's brother.
Oh, sir, it was all nonsense, sir. A canon, but a fortunate mistake, sir, you see.
Really?
It brought me the patronage of a captain of His Majesty's Navy and a brother of a countess. You see, I don't think Mr. Walter Scott can say as much, and here I am, a respected guest at Sydney Park.
Well, you can say you have received satisfaction.
Yes, I sure have.
Oh, Mr. Noakes, my muddy metal rascal, where's your spyglass?
I beg your leave. I thought her ladyship... Excuse me.
To my dear friend, Septimus Hodge, who stood up and gave his best on behalf of the author, Ezra Chater, at Sidley Park, Derbyshire, April 10th, 1809. Sir, something you can give your grandchildren, sir.
This is more than I deserve. This is handsome. What do you say, Mr. Noakes?
Oh no! Not the gazebo! Mr. Noakes, what is this I hear?
Not only the gazebo, the boathouse, the Chinese bridge, by God, the shrubbery.
But by God, sir, this is not possible.
Well, Mr. Noakes will have it so.
Mr. Noakes, this is monstrous.
Well, I'm glad to hear it from you, Mr. Hodge.
May I return now?
Not just yet.
Yes, let her stay. A lesson in folly is worth two in wisdom.
Is Sidley Park to be an Englishman's garden? Or the haunt of Corsican brigands?
That is not hyperbole,
By
sir.
God's side, it is rape!
It is the modern style.
Really? Well, it is regrettable, of course, but so it is.
Mr. Chater, you show too much submission. Mr. Hodge, I appeal to you.
My lady, I regret the gazebo. Well, I sincerely regret the gazebo. The boathouse up to a point. The Chinese bridge. Fantasy. The shrubbery I deny with contempt. Mr. Chater, we'll have a word up with the jumped up jobbing landscape gardener who sees carnal embrace in every nook and cranny in the landscape.
They're not speaking of carnal embrace, are they, Mama?
Certainly not. What do you know of carnal embrace?
Everything, thanks to Septimus. In my opinion, the scheme for the garden is perfect. This is Salvatore.
What does she mean?
Salvatore also, your ladyship, the painter. He is indeed the very exemplar of the picture style.
What is she talking about?
She speaks from innocence, not experience.
You call this innocence? Has he ruined you, child?
Answer her, uncle.
How is a ruined child different from a ruined castle?
On such question, I defer to Mr. Noakes.
A ruined castle is picturesque, certainly.
This makes a difference. While I teach from classical authors, if I do not elucidate their meaning, who will?
Well, as a tutor, it is your duty to keep her in ignorance.
Do not dabble in paradox, Edward. Puts you in danger of ridiculous wit. Thomasina, wait in your bedroom.
I do not intend to get you into trouble, Septimus, and I am very sorry for it. It is plain that there are some things a girl is allowed to understand, such as all of algebra, but there are things that must be kept from her, such as embracing a side of beef. That must be kept from her until she's old enough to have a carcass of her own.
One moment.
What does she mean?
Meat.
Meat?
Thomasina, you had better to remain. Your knowledge of the picturesque obviously exceeds anything the rest of us can offer. Mr. Hodge, innocence should be like an empty vessel, waiting to be filled at the well of truth and not at the cabinet of vulgar curios. Mr. Noakes, now at last is your turn.
Thank you, Your Ladyship.
Your drawing is a very wonderful transformation. I would have not recognized my own garden if it was not for your ingenious book, is it not? Look, here is the garden as it appears to us now, and here as it might be when Mr. Noakes is done with it. Where there's a familiar pastoral refinement of an Englishman's garden, here is an eruption of gloomy forest and towering crag, of ruins where there were never a house, of water dashing through the rocks, where there were neither spring nor stone. I could not throw the length of a cricket pitch. My hyacinth dell has become a haunt for hobgoblins. My Chinese bridge, for which I'm assured is superior to the one at Kew, and for all I know at Peking, is served by a fallen obelisk overgrown with briars.
But Lord Little has one very similar.
I cannot relieve Lord Little's misfortunes by adding to my own. Pray, what is this rustic hovel that seems to superpose itself upon my gazebo?
That is the Hermitage, my lady.
The Hermitage. I am bewildered.
It is all irregular, Mr.
Well,
Noakes.
it is, sir. Irregularity is one of the chiefest principles of the picture style.
But Sidley Park is already a picture, and the most amiable picture too. The slopes are green and gentle, the trees companionably grouped at intervals which show them to advantage. The reel is a serpentine ribbon unwound peacefully from the lake, contained by meadows in which the right amount of sheep are tastefully arranged. In short, it is nature as God intended, and I can say of the painter, et in Arcadia ego. Here I am in Arcadia. Thomasina,
Oh, yes, Mama, if you would have it so.
is she correcting my taste or my translation?
Neither are beyond correction. It was your geography that caused the doubt.
Something has occurred with the girl since I've spoken to her last, and surely that was yesterday. How old are you this morning?
13 years and 10 months, Mama.
13 years and 10 months. She's not to be pert for 6 months at the earliest, or to have notions for taste for much longer. Mr. Hodge, this is your fault. Mr. Knox, back to you.
Thank you, my lady.
You've been reading too many novels by Mrs. Radcliffe. The Garden is one for The Mysteries of Udolpho or The Castle of Otranto.
The Castle of Otranto, my lady. That was written by Horace Walpole.
Ah, Mr. Walpole, the gardener.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Chater, while you are a welcome guest at Sidley Park, The Castle of Otranto was written by whomever I say it was. Otherwise, what's the point of being a guest or having one? Very sad indeed. Well, the guns have reached the brow, and I will speak to the lordship on the subject, and we will see by and by. Your friend got down a pigeon, Mr. Hodge. Bravo, sir!
The pigeon, I'm sure, fell to your husband or your son. My school friend was never a sportsman.
Ah, yes, to Augustus. Bravo, lad.
Come now, who am I true?
Mr. Hodge, I can't thank you enough.
Pop, pop, pop. I have grown up in the sound of guns like a child in a siege. Pigeons and rooks in close season, growls in the height of August. Papa has no need for the recording angel. His life is written in the game book.
A calendar of slaughter. Even in Arcadia, there am I.
Oh, free to death. I will put in a hermit, for what is a hermitage without a hermit? Are you in love with my mother, Septimus?
No. You must not be cleverer than your elders. It
Am
is
I-
not polite.
Am I clever?
Oh, yes, much.
Well, I'm sorry for it. Mrs. Chater came into the music room with a note for you. She said it was of scant importance, and therefore I should carry it with utmost urgency, safety, and discretion. Does carnal embrace addle the brain?
Invariably. Thank you. It is enough of education for today.
There, I have made him like Baptist in the wilderness.
How picturesque.
Thomasina!
Oh, well, she was here.
Ah, the French window.
Yes. Hang on.
Sod!
The best thing is, you wait here. Save you tramping around. She spends a good deal of time in the garden, as you may imagine.
Yes. Why?
Well, she's writing a history of the garden. I thought you knew.
No. I knew she's working in the Croom papers,
Well, it's
but...
not exactly a history of the garden either. I'll let Hannah explain it. The trench you nearly fell into has all to do with it. I was going to say make yourself comfortable, but that's hardly possible. Everything's been cleared out. It's en route to the nearest lavatory.
Everything is.
No, this room is. They drew the line at chemical ladies.
Ah, yes, I see. I'm sorry. Did you say Hannah?
Hannah, yes. Well, I won't take so long. I mean, I'm just going to... Mr. Nightingale? Yoo-hoo! Mr. Nightingale?
I'm sorry. Thank you. Miss Hannah is Hannah Jarvis, the author?
Yes, have you read her book?
Ah, yes, her book. Indeed.
Oh, there goes lightning.
Ah, turtles. Not a fan.
Well, he's tame. He won't mess around. There you go. Well, anyways, I bet she's in the Hermitage. You can't see from here with the marquee on.
Are you having a garden party?
No, it's just a dance for the district, our annual dressing up and the general drunkenness. The Wrinkleys won't have it in the house. There was a teapot we once had to bag back from Christie's in the nick of time. So anything that can be destroyed, stolen, or vomited on has been tactfully removed. So, there it goes. Oh, lightning.
I'll help you with that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
He's a little bit untamed. He was a rescued animal. My brother's turtle.
Yes, I see. I'm sorry, would you mind not mentioning my name just yet?
No. I mean, she's bound to ask. Should I give you another name just for the moment?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Thank you.
Perhaps another bird. You're not really a nightingale.
Oh, hello there.
Sod! Whoa!
She's in the garden looking for Miss Jarvis.
Lightning, where have you been?
Uh,
Where is everything?
it's been moved out for the...
Yeah, but the dance is all in the tent, isn't it?
yes, but this is the way to the nearest toilet.
Need the commode.
Can't you just use the toilet?
It's got all the game books in it.
The toilet or the commode?
Is anyone looking after you?
Yes, thank you. I'm Bernard Knight. I wrote a letter to Lord Croom. I'm here to see Miss Jarvis, you see, but unfortunately I never received a reply, so...
Did you type it?
Type it.
Was your letter typewritten?
Yes.
My father never replies to typewritten letters.
So I telephoned yesterday and I think I spoke to you.
To me?
Yes.
Ah, yes.
Sorry, you're doing a talk about someone and wanted to ask Hannah something.
Yes, as it turns out, I'm hoping she'll look kindly upon me.
I doubt it.
Research.
I know Hannah.
Has she been here long?
Well in possession, I'm afraid. My mother has read her book, you see. Have you?
Yes, her book, indeed.
She's terrifically pleased with herself.
Well, I dare say if I wrote a bestseller.
No, for reading it. My mother basically reads gardening books.
Well, then she must be delighted to have Miss Hannah Jarvis write a book about her garden.
Well, actually, it's about hermits. Yes, Gus, what is it? Gus. Well, I'll take Lightning for his run then.
Actually, sorry, I think we met before. It was a couple of years ago in Sussex, a seminar.
Was I there?
Yeah, yes. One of my colleagues, he believed he had found an unattributed story by D.H. Lawrence, and then he analyzed it on his home computer. Perhaps you remember the paper?
No, not really. But I sometimes sit with my eyes closed, and it doesn't necessarily mean I'm awake.
Well, by analyzing sentence structures and so forth, he was able to show that there was a 90% chance that the story had indeed been written by the same author of Women and Love. To my inexpressible joy, one of your math mobs was able to show that on a statistical basis, there was also a 90% chance that Lawrence had wrote the Just William books and much of the previous day's Brighton and Hove Argus.
Brighton. Yes, I was there. Here she comes. I'll leave you two to talk. By the way, is yours the red Mazda?
Yes, it is.
If you want a tip, I'd put it out of sight past the stable arch. My father won't have anyone in the house with a Japanese car. Are you queer, by the way?
No, actually.
Well, even so.
Mr. Peacock?
Miss Jarvis! I was taken aback for a moment. Such a pleasure. The photograph doesn't do you justice.
Photograph?
On the book. I'm so sorry to have brought you all the way inside.
It's fine. You would have muddied your shoes.
How thoughtful of you, and how kind of you to spare me some of your time.
Are you a journalist?
Oh, no.
I've been in the haha. Very squelchy.
Haha!
Sorry?
A theory of mine. It's haha and not haha. You see, if you were strolling in the garden, and then the ground gave way at your feet, you're gonna jump back and go haha, not haha. Or more likely, bloody hell. Although I think old Murray was up the pole on that one. Did you know that in France, haha is used to denote a strikingly ugly woman? Something more likely to keep the cars off the lawn in this case.
Mr. Peacock, is there something I can do for you?
Yes, you can call me Bernard for one, because that's my name.
Thank you.
Your book truly is a revelation. I mean, seeing Caroline Lamb through your eyes is like seeing her for the very first time. Although I'm ashamed to say I've never read her fiction. Early 19th century is my era as much as anything is.
Oh, you teach?
Yes, and write, like we all do. Although I've never done anything that's so like Carol.
I don't teach.
All the more credit to you. To rehabilitate a forgotten English writer. I mean, isn't that the purpose of an English Don?
Not to teach.
Oh, good God, no. Let the brats sort it out for themselves, yeah? Anyway, I guess they'll be bringing out Caroline Lamb's oeuvre now.
I suppose so.
Magnificent! Bravo! Simply as a document
No,
showing...
Bernard. You did say Bernard, didn't you?
Yes.
I'm gonna put my shoes back on.
Oh, you're not gonna go out, are you?
Oh no, I'm gonna kick you in the balls.
Right. Quite taken. Ezra Chater.
Ezra Chater.
Born Twickenham, Middlesex, 1778. Author of two verse narratives, The Couch of Eros, 1808, and The Maid of Turkey, 1809. And he disappears after that.
I see, and?
There is a Sidley Park connection. The Couch of Eros. To my friend Septimus Hodge, who stood up and gave his best on behalf of the author, Ezra Chater, Sidley Park, Derbyshire, April 10th, 1809. I'm in your hands.
The Couch of Eros. Is it any good?
Quite surprising.
You think there's a book in him?
No. Probably a monograph for the Journal of English Studies. There's absolutely nothing about him in the DNB. He'd been completely forgotten by then.
Family?
Zilch. There's only one other Chater though in the English library database.
Same period.
Yes, but he wasn't exactly a poet like our Chater. He was a botanist who described a dwarf dahlia in Martinique and died after being bitten by a monkey.
So where is this Ezra Chater?
Right. The book is in my personal collection. I'm giving a talk next week in London, and this Ezra Chater figure, he interests me. So anything you have on him, Septimus Hodge, Sidley Park, I'd be most grateful.
Wow. This is a new experience for me. A groveling academic.
Oh, I see.
Oh, but yes. All the reviewers who reviewed my book patronized it.
Oh, surely not.
Surely yes, the Byron gang unzipped their flies and patronized all over it. Now, where did you say you didn't teach, by the way?
Sussex, actually.
Sussex. Sussex. Nightingale, right. 1,000 words in the Observer to see me off the premises with a pat on the bottom. You must know him.
As I say, I'm in your hands.
So you do. Well, say please then.
Please.
Sit down, do.
Thank you.
Wait, no, how did you know I was here?
I called in. The Sun didn't exactly mention you by name. And then he forgot to mention me.
Valentine. He's at Oxford, technically.
Yes, I've met him. Brideshead regurgitated.
My fiancé.
I'll take a chance. You're lying.
Well done, Bernard.
Christ!
He calls me his fiancé.
Why?
I don't know, as a joke.
You turned him down?
Don't be silly. Do I look like the next countess?
No. It's a freebie. The joke that consoles. My fiancée, Hannah. My tortoise, Lightning.
I see. You have a way with you, Bernard. I'm not sure I quite like it.
What's he doing, this Valentine?
He's a post-grad biology.
No, he's a mathematician.
Oh, he's doing grouse.
Grouse?
Not actual grouse, computer grouse.
Yes, I see. And who's the one that doesn't speak?
Gus.
What's the matter with him?
I never asked.
And the father sounds a lot like fun.
Yes.
And the mother is a gardener? I mean, what is going on here?
What do you mean?
I nearly took her head off. She was standing in the trench at the time.
Yeah, archaeology. This house had a formal Italian garden until about, say, 1760. Lady Croom is interested in garden history. I gave her one of my books, which contains, as you would know if you've read it, which I'm not assuming, by the way, a rather good description of Caroline's garden at Brookett Hall. I'm here now helping Hermione.
Hermione?
The records are unusually complete, and they've never been worked on.
You know, I'm beginning to admire you.
Oh, before was bullshit then.
Completely. The photograph does do you justice. I'm not sure the book does.
Septimus Hodge was the tutor.
Atta girl.
The Croom daughter was his pupil. Septimus lived in the house. I mean, the paybook specifies for stuff like wine and candles, so he wasn't so much a guest, rather more a steward. His letter of self-recommendation is preserved among the papers somewhere. I'll dig it out for you. As far as I can remember, he studied mathematics and natural philosophy at Cambridge. A scientist, therefore, as much as anything else.
Thank you very much. And what about this Ezra Chater?
Nothing.
Nothing at all?
Sorry.
How about the library?
The catalog was done in the 1880s. I know, I've been through the lot.
Books or catalog?
Catalog.
Pity.
I'm sorry.
What about the letters? No mention?
I'm afraid not. You know, Bernard, I've been very thorough in your period because it is my period as well.
Is it? You know, actually, I don't really know what it is that you're...
The Sidley Hermit.
Who's he?
He's my peg for the nervous breakdown of the romantic imagination. I'm doing landscape and literature, 1760 to 1834.
And what happened in 1834?
My hermit died.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course. However, Coleridge also died in 1834.
Yes, so he did. What a stroke of luck. Thank you, Bernard. There he is. The only likelihood of the Sidley Hermit.
Very biblical.
Drawn in by later hand, of course. The hermit didn't yet exist when Noakes did the drawings.
No. The painter.
Landscape gardener. He do these sort of things as perspectives for his clients, before and after, you see. This is how it all looked until, say, 1810. Smooth, undulating, serpentine, open waters, clumps of trees.
Lovely. The real England.
You can stop being silly now, Bernard. English landscape was invented by gardeners who were imitating foreign painters evoking classical authors. This is how it all looked, and it all was brought in the grand tour. Here, let me show you. Capability Brown, who was doing Claude, who was doing Virgil. Arcadia! And later on, superimposed by Richard Noakes, the untamed nature in the style of Salvator Rosa. The whole Gothic novel expressed through landscape. Well, everything but vampires, of course. There's even an account of my hermit in a letter by your illustrious namesake.
Florence.
What?
Nothing. Go on.
Thomas Love Peacock.
Right. Yes.
Right. I found it in an essay of hermits and anchorites in the Cornhill magazine. 1862. Peacock writes, "Not one of your average simpletons to frighten the ladies, but a savant among idiots. A sage of lunacy."
An oxymoron, so to speak.
Yeah. What?
Nothing. Go on.
Here we are. A letter we have seen, written by the author of Headlong Hall nearly 30 years ago, tells of a visit to the Earl of Croom's estate, Sidley Park.
Was the letter to Thackeray?
I don't know, does it matter?
No, of course not.
Right. So,
Only the Cornhill magazine was edited by Thackeray until 1863, when, as you know, he died. His father had been with the East India Company, where Peacock had held the position of examiner. So it's quite possible that if the essay were by Thackeray, then the letter... Yes.
Can I just finish reading this?
Yes, go on.
So,
Only most of Peacock's letters are available in the East India Library in Blackfriars, so it would be quite easy to... Sorry, can I take a look? Yes, it's been tucked and tailed, of course. It might be worth...
Bernard, can I just
Yes,
finish this?
I'm listening.
Yeah. Can I have... No?
Yes, it's Thackeray, all right. Unbearable. You were saying?
Are you always like this?
Like what?
My point is, the Crooms had the hermit under their noses for 20 years. So Hart thought him worth remarking, as I'm finding out. The Peacock letter is still the only source, unfortunately. But when I read this, well, it was one of those moments that tell you what your next book is going to be. The Sidley Hermit was my...
Peg!
Epiphany!
Epiphany, that's it.
The hermit was placed exactly as one might place a pottery gnome. And there he lived out his life as a garden ornament.
Did he do anything?
Did he do? Of course, he was so busy. When he died, the cottage was stacked with hundreds of pages, thousands. Peacock says that he was a genius. Turns out, of course, he was off his head. But it doesn't matter. He covered every sheet with Kabbalistic proof that the world was coming to an end. It's so perfect, isn't it? A perfect symbol.
Yeah, yes. Of what?
The whole romantic sham, Bernard. I mean, it's what happened to the Enlightenment, isn't it? A century of intellectual rigor turned in on itself. A mind in chaos suspected of genius. In a setting of cheap thrills and false emotion. I mean, the history of the garden says it all so beautifully. Paradise in the age of reason. But by 1760, everything had gone. Topiary, pools, terraces, fountains, an avenue of limes. I mean, the whole sublime geometry was plowed under by Capability Brown. The grass went from the doorstep to the horizon, and the best box hedge in Derbyshire was dug up for the ha-ha, so that the fools could pretend that they were living in God's countryside. And then Richard Noakes had to come in to bring God up to date. And when he was finished with it, it looked like this. The decline from thinking to the feeling, you see.
That is awfully good. No, I'm being serious. Personally, I like the ha-ha. Do you like hedges?
I don't like sentimentality.
Yes, I see. Are you sure? You seem to be quite sentimental over geometry. But yes, the hermit is very, very good. Clearly the genius of the place.
That's my title.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course. I mean, who was he when he wasn't being Simbo?
I don't know.
Ah.
Yet.
Well, what did they do with all the paper? Does peacocks it?
Yes. Made a bonfire.
Pity.
I've still got Lady Croom's garden books to go through.
Account books or journals?
A bit of both. They're gappy, but they span the period.
Really? Anyway, have you come across the name Byron at all, just as a matter of interest?
Yes. A copy of Childe Harold and English Bards in the library, I think.
Or is inscribed?
No.
Well, anyway, would you mind if I looked around a little bit? Only in the papers that you've done with, of course.
Are you looking to Byron or Cheetah now?
Sorry, just cutting through. Oh, oops. Shoes. Sorry. There's tea in the pantry if you
Let
don't
me
have
help
one.
you.
Oh, how kind. Thank you. I've been saving Belle's game books. Thanks.
Sweet girl. Oh, really?
Oh, really what?
Meant to say, don't worry if Father makes remarks about your car, Mr. Nightingale. He's got a thing about... How is the surprise? Not yet. Oh, God. He does cheat. Oh, no, my
You
God.
bastard, Bernard.
But there's a Byron connection.
I don't even care anymore.
You should. The Byron gang are gonna get their dicks caught in their zip.
Oh, really?
If we collaborate,
On what?
sit down, I'll tell you.
It's okay, I'll stand for the moment.
This copy of the Couch of Eros belonged to Lord Byron.
No it didn't. It belonged to Septimus Hodge.
Originally, yes. But Eros, this copy of the Couch of Eros was sold in 1816 to pay off Byron's debts before he left England. Eros was lot 74A and was bought by book publisher and seller John Nightingale of Opera Court, Pall Mall, whose name survives in the firm of Matlock and Nightingale, the present Nightingale being my cousin. I'll just give you the headlines, yeah?
Sure.
1939, book stock moved to Country House in Kent. 1945, book stock moved back to bookstore. Meanwhile, overlooked box of 19th century old books languished in Country House cellar. Eros was discovered with sales slip attached from 1816. Photocopy available for inspection.
Okay, fine. The book was in Byron's library then.
No, a number of passages have been underlined. All of them and only them, no, look at me, not at the book. All of them have been used as word for word in the quotation in the review of The Maid of Turkey in the Piccadilly Recreation.
But, okay, the reviewer has to be Septimus Hodge then. I mean, to my friend Septimus Hodge, who stood up and gave his best on behalf of the author. I mean, it has to be him.
Exactly, the Piccadilly ridiculed both books.
Okay, congratulations then, possibly, to previously unknown book reviews by the young Byron.
No, that's not just it. Because of the tapes around the book, 3 documents have survived. First document. Sir, we have a matter to settle. I wait on you in the gun room. Ezra Chater, Esquire. Second document. My husband has sent to town for pistols. Deny what cannot be proven for charity's sake. I keep my room this day. Unsigned. And the third document. Sidley Park, April 11th, 1809. Sir, I call you a liar, a lecher, a slanderer in the press, and a thief of my honor. I wait upon your arrangements for giving me satisfaction as a man and a poet. Ezra Chater, Esquire.
Superb. But inconclusive. The book had 7 years to make its way into Byron's possession. There were no hints of any of this in his letters. Furthermore, this kind of scrape would be the last thing he would have kept quiet about.
Scrape.
He would have made a comic turn out of it.
Comic turn, fiddlesticks.
What?
He killed Chater.
Oh, really?
Look, Chater was 31 years old and he had just released his second book. He was just starting out his career, yet nothing is heard of him after 1809. Byron had just published his satire, English Bards and Scotch Reviewers, yet he sailed for Lisbon as soon as he could find a ship. And now this is fame. Somewhere in the Croom papers there will be something.
But I've looked, Bernard. There is nothing.
Well, you weren't looking for this. I mean, it's not gonna jump out at you like Lord Byron remarked wittily at breakfast.
Nevertheless, Byron's presence would have unlikely gone unremarked. But then again, there's nothing to suggest that he was even here. And I don't believe he ever was.
Well, even so, would you mind terribly if I looked around a little bit?
No, you'll queer my pitch.
Dear girl.
Don't call me dear girl. If I find anything on Byron or Chater or Hodge, I'll let you know, Nightingale, Sussex.
Sorry about that business with my name.
Don't mention it.
By the way, where did Hodge go to college?
Trinity.
Trinity.
Yes. Yes, the same. Wait. Did you say Byron or Hodge?
Hodge. Where did Hodge go to college?
Oh. Then Trinity. Yeah, same one as Byron.
How old was he at the time?
Probably the same age as Byron, or maybe a year or two older. I don't know.
So they were contemporaries at Trinity then?
Yes, Bernard, and no doubt that they played Cricket 11 when Harrow played Eton at Lord.
So are you trying to say that Byron went to school with Hodge?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you silly cow!
Oh! I thought I'd bring it to you. The team, I mean.
Yes. I'm gonna go see about my car.
Oh, you going to hide it?
Hide it? I'm gonna sell it. Is there a pub I can put up at in the village?
I don't know.
Aren't you glad I'm here?
So. He said he knew you.
He couldn't have.
No, perhaps not. He said he wanted to be a surprise, but I suppose that was different. Oh. I thought there was a lot of sexual energy there, didn't you?
What? No, there wasn't, Chloe. No.
Bouncy on his feet, you see? Good sign. Should I invite him for you?
To what? No, thank you. No.
No, you can invite him. That's better. He can come as your partner. Only if you want.
Stop it, Chloe. Just thank you for the tea. Thank you.
Hannah, if you don't want him, you can just say it. I will have him. What, is he married?
I haven't the slightest idea. Aren't you supposed to have a pony?
I'm just trying to fix you up, Hannah.
Believe me, it gets less important.
I mean for the dancing. He can come as Beau Brummel.
I don't want to dance.
We need a Beau Brummel.
I don't want a dancing partner, least of all Mr. Nightingale.
Oh.
I don't dance.
Oh, don't be such a prune. You were kissing him anyway.
He was kissing me. And only out of general enthusiasm.
Well, don't say I didn't give you first chance. My genius brother would be much relieved. He's very much in love with you.
That's a joke, Chloe.
It's not a joke to him.
Of course not. Not even a joke. How could you be so ridiculous?
Oh, hello there, Gus. What have you got?
Oh, for me. Thank you.
Hannah? I don't know how to put this, but I told you.
Thank you. Oh.
Why are you stopped?
Solio Inessa, in Igne, seated on a ship and...
I will have something. There's no reply, Jellyby. Thank you.
I will say so, sir.
I will have something for the post if you would be so kind.
Yes, sir.
Jalebi? It's his lunchtime.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, Septimus. Musica tiberium imperabat. Music of the pipes as commanded.
Ruled is better.
The silver oars exciting the ocean as if amorous.
Hammers. That's very good.
Regina reclinabat. The queen was reclining, praetor descriptioner, like Venus in a golden tent, and yet more.
Can you try to put some poetry to it?
How can I if there is none in the Latin?
Oh, a critic.
Is it Queen Dido?
No.
Who is the poet?
Known to you.
Known to me.
Not a Roman.
Mr. Chater?
Your translation is quite like Chater.
I know who it is. It is your friend Byron.
Well, Lord Byron, if you please.
But Lord Byron is in love with Mama.
It's nonsense.
It is not nonsense. I saw them together in the gazebo. He was reading to her from his satire and she was laughing with her head in her best position.
Well, she did not understand the satire and was showing politeness to a guest.
She is vexed with Papa for his determination to alter the park. But that alone cannot account for her politeness to a guest. She came downstairs hours before her custom today.
Oh.
Lord Byron was amusing at breakfast. He paid you a tribute, Septimus.
Oh, did he?
He said you were a very witty fellow and had almost by heart an article you wrote about, well, I forgot what, but it concerned a certain maid of Turkey and how you would not give it to your dog for dinner.
Ah, Chater was at breakfast, of course.
He was, not like certain lazy bones.
Well, he did not have Latin to set and mathematics to correct.
Correct? What was incorrect in it? Alpha minus? What is the minus for?
For doing more than was asked.
You did not like my discovery.
A fancy is not a discovery.
Well, a jibe is not a rebuttal. You're churlish with me because Mama is paying attention to your friend. Well, let them elope. They cannot turn back the advancement of knowledge. Every week I plot your equations, x's against y's in all manners of algebraic relation, and they draw themselves together as if the world were nothing but forms of arcs and commonplace geometry. God's truth, Septimus. If there was a curve like a bell, why not a bluebell? And if a bluebell, why not a rose? Do we believe that nature is written in equations?
We do.
Then why do your equations only describe the shape of manufacture?
I do not know.
Armed thus, God could only make a cabinet.
Well, he has the mastery of equations which will lead into infinities or more than that.
What a faint heart. We must work from the middle of the maze. I will plot this leaf and deduce its equation. When Lord Byron is dead and gone, you'll be famous for being my tutor.
Now back to Cleopatra.
Is this Cleopatra? I hate Cleopatra.
You hate her. Why?
Everything is turned into love with her. New love, lost love, absent love. It only takes a Roman general to drop anchor outside the window and away goes the empire like a christening mug into a pawn shop. Now if Queen Elizabeth had been a Ptolemy, history would have been quite different. We would be admiring the pyramids of Rome or the great Sphinx of Verona.
Oh God, save
But
me.
instead, Egyptian noodle made carnal embrace with the enemy, who burned the great library of Alexandria without so much as a fine for all that is overdue. Oh, Septimus, can you bear it? All the lost plays of the Athenians, thousands, 200 elites by Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides, all brought to Egypt by the noodle's ancestors. How can we sleep for grief?
By counting our stock. You see, 7 from Aeschylus, 7 from Sophocles, 19 from Euripides, my lady. You should be no more grief for the rest than for a buckle loss of your first shoe, or your lesson book, which will be lost when you're old. You see, we shed as we pick up, like travelers who carries everything in their arms and won't be let fall will be picked up by those behind. You see, the procession is long and life is very short. We die on the march. Since there's nothing outside the march, therefore nothing can be lost to it. The missing plays of Sophocles will turn up piece by piece, or be written in another language. Ancient cures for diseases will reveal themselves once more. Mathematical discoveries glimpsed and lost to view will have their time again. You do not suppose, my lady, that all of the Archimedes have been hiding at the great library of Alexandria to be at a loss of corkscrew? I do not doubt that the steam-driven heat engine that put Mr. Noakes into ecstasy that he and it and the modern age should coincide was described in the papyrus. Steam and brass were not invented in Glasgow. Now, where are we? Let me see, I attempt a free translation for you. See, at Harrow I was better at this than Lord Byron. Now, what's this? The bark she sat in like a burnished throne, burnt on water the poop was sweetened gold, purple the sails, and so perfumed that the winds were lovesick with them. The oars were silver, which the tune of flutes kept stroke, and made the water which they beat follow faster. As ever of their strokes. Oh, person, get
Good
back.
God, man, what have you told her?
Told her what?
Hodge!
Mr. Chater! My dear friend, don't hang back, come on in.
Come, Chater.
Captain Bryce does me the honor. Well, what I mean to say, sir, is that whatever you have to say to me, address yourself to Captain Bryce.
How unusual. Your wife did not appear yesterday. I trust she's not sick.
My wife? I have no wife. What the devil do you mean, sir?
See, I do not understand the scheme. To whom do I address when I want to speak to Captain Bryce?
Oh, slippery, Hodge. Very slippery.
By the way, Chater, someone has taken to writing wild and whirling letters in your name. I received one not half an hour ago.
Good God, Mr. Hodge. If you cannot attend to me without this foolery, then I dare you to nominate your second who might settle the business as between gentlemen. No doubt your friend Byron would do you this service. Hmm?
Yes. He would do me the service. Sir, I repent your injury. You are an honest fellow with no more malice in you than poetry.
Ah, well, that is more like the thing. Wait, is he apologizing?
There is still injury to his conjugal property. Mrs. Chater's,
Her tush!
Ah, as you will, her tush. Nevertheless.
Excellently found. Mr. Chater, this will please you very much. Lord Byron begs a copy of your new book. He dies to read it and intends to include your name in the second edition of his English Bards and Scotch Reviewers.
English bards and Scotch reviewers, but your ladyship, it's a doggerel aimed at Lord Byron's seniors and betters. If he intends to include me, he intends to insult me.
Well, of course he does. Would you rather be thought not worth insulting? You should be proud to be in the company of Rogers and Moore and Wordsworth. The couch of Eros.
Oh, that is my copy, madam.
Well, so much the better. What are friends' books for if not to be borrowed? Mr. Hodge, you must speak to your friend and put him out of his affectation of pretending to quit us. I will not have it. He says he's determined on the Malta packet out of Falmouth. His head is full of Lisbon and Lesbos, and his portmanteau of pistols, I've told him it is not to be thought of. The whole of Europe is in a Napoleonic fit. The best ruins will be closed, the roads entirely occupied with the movement of armies, the lodgings turned to billets, and the fashion for godless republicanism not yet arrived at its natural reversion. He says his aim is at poetry, but one does not aim at poetry with pistols, at poets, perhaps. I charge you to take command of his pistols, Mr. Hodge. He is not safe with them. His lameness, he confessed to me, is completely the result of his habit from boyhood of shooting himself in the foot. What is that noise?
Oh, that is the new Broadwood pianoforte, my lady. Our music lesson are at an early stage.
Well, restrict your lessons to the piano side of the instrument and let her loose on the forte when she has learned something.
Now, if that was not God speaking through Lady Croom, he never spoke through anyone.
Take command of Lord Byron's pistols?
Now you hear, Mr. Chater, sir. How will you answer him?
By killing him! I'm tired of him. Oh, damn your soul chaser! A bit would have said lawyer, Virgil, farmer, if they had known the battles to which love would descend from noodle nymphs and sportive satyrs. I'll be of service with a half-ounce ball in your brain. May it satisfy you, shall we say, 5 o'clock, behind the boathouse? My compliments to Mrs. Chater. She will not want for protection. Captain Rice has a guinea in his pocket. He told her so himself.
You lie, sir!
I do not, perhaps, Mrs. Chater.
You lie or you will answer to me!
Very well. Fit you in at 5 minutes after 5. And that's off to Malta and Paganal Falmouth, and you too will be dead. And my Pinera school friend will remain to tutor Lady Thomasina, and I trust that everybody, including Lady Croom, will be satisfied.
He is all bluster and bladder. You rest assured, Chater. I will let the air out of him.
Captain, Captain!
I, Thomasina Coverley, have found a truly wonderful method whereby all the forms of nature must give up their numerical secrets and draw themselves through number alone.